Hi, it's Ian here. Welcome to More Clients TV and welcome to day one of Lead Generation Q&A. On this video, I'll be looking at one of the trickiest challenges facing many businesses, how to find the right niche, the right specialism and focus to fuel their growth. I'll be disagreeing with what almost everyone says about niches and giving you some practical tips to either find or refine the right niche for you. So I'll see you in a couple of seconds. Okay, so today's lead generation question comes from Stephanie, who writes, "Help me break out of the who is my customer and what is my niche conundrum. The one leads to the other in either direction as far as I can see, but I can't seem to figure out either one." Well, that's a very common problem, Stephanie, and not just for startups, but often professionals and businesses who've been established for quite a while, so you're not alone. Now, the first thing I want to say is that although conventional wisdom says that you've got to have a very, very tightly defined niche to succeed, and I'm going to give you some tips for doing that in a second, the idea that unless you have a very focused niche, you can't possibly survive is just wrong. If you look around, there are plenty of successful business coaches, for example, who target small businesses generally. There are plenty of thriving consultants and lawyers who work with lots of different types of corporates. So having a tight niche is not an absolute necessity. It's not do or die. In fact, I often smile when I read advice from experts saying, you need an ultra-tight niche. And then I look at who they're targeting themselves, and usually it's a very broad market, like small businesses or consultants, coaches, trainers, NLPers, authors, etc., etc. So there's a bit of an inconsistency there. Now, don't get me wrong, having a tight niche can be very powerful. It gives you focus, it marks you out as understanding that particular market and being an expert in it. But it's one part of the marketing mix. So if you look at those business coaches who are succeeding with a broad remit of small businesses, they've got the other elements of their marketing, seminars, networking, direct mail, firing on all cylinders. If you look at those consultants or lawyers or coaches who work with a range of corporates, they've almost always got a well-established referral network working for them. So a tightly defined niche is very helpful, but it's not the be-all and end-all of marketing. And in particular, if the process and the complexity of figuring out your niche is holding you back and preventing you from getting out and implementing great marketing, then that can be a problem in itself. So I'm going to talk in a second about how to get to the right niche for you, but if you're still struggling, then the right answer might well be just to move on. Get the other elements of your marketing moving, then come back to your niche later. Don't get stuck in a kind of holding pattern. In fact, many people who are associated with a specific niche didn't actually set out to focus on that niche. I think many of you may know Susie Pomerantz, who's the author of Seal the Deal and a really successful executive coach. And she and I are working on a project together, and I've never known anyone so busy with client work. Now, Susie's known for her work with executives in the legal sector, but she didn't deliberately target them initially. She happened to get a couple of law firm clients, and then they referred her to some more, and all of a sudden, she'd worked with a bunch of lawyers. And then she started harnessing that credibility to build her presence in the niche. So sometimes, if you can't find a niche, your niche will find you. It's a matter of spotting it when it happens and then building on it. So with all that said, how do you mindfully find a niche that's going to work for you? Well, the first place to start is to think of the two different types of niche that tend to be the most successful. The first type of niche is the industry or sector niche. So you target your services at doctors or engineers or medium-sized chemical companies or independent high street retailers, biotech startups. The advantage of this type of niche is that you can quite easily find the people in the niche. So engineers, for example, tend to read specific magazines. They go to engineering conferences, they visit certain websites, and you can buy a list of chief engineers to mail to. So from a marketing perspective, they're affordably reachable. Now, the other type of niche is the problem or opportunity niche. That's where you target a specific problem or opportunity that your clients have within your field. So as a leadership coach, you might focus on leadership teams or nervous leaders or older leaders. As a marketing person, you might focus on direct mail or branding or marketing on a shoestring. Now, the advantage of a problem or opportunity niche is that that's what people buy. They want a solution to their specific problem. So if you can find people in your niche, it's relatively easy to convince them to buy because you've got the specific answer to their problem. The disadvantage is that it's difficult to find them in the first place. There's no kind of Nervous Manager monthly magazine, and there's not a conference for old leaders. But if you're able to combine those two types of niche, find a particular sector or industry or type of person that often has a specific problem, then you're onto something. You can find them and you've got an immediate match for what they need. So for example, and I'm making this up, so apologies for stereotyping, but you might notice from your experience that engineers, being kind of solitary, geeky people, generally aren't good in teams. So you focus your team building capabilities and services on engineering businesses. Now in my case, I work with individual professionals in businesses like consultants, coaches, lawyers, people who aren't naturally comfortable marketing and selling. So I've got a group I can find with a service that's valuable to a large number of them. So first step, figure out a combination of a type of person or a business and a common problem or challenge that many of the people in that group have that you can help with. And you might come up with 2 or 3 ideas on that front initially to work with. The next step is to apply some criteria to that to make sure it's a viable niche. And there are 3 key criteria. The first is expertise. You must have strong expertise and experience in helping your clients in your niche solve their big problems. You have to be at least as good and preferably better than your competitors. Otherwise, why would clients turn to you? So expertise is the starting point. And I have to say, there's nothing gets me madder these days than those courses you see about how to become an instant expert or become famous or a celebrity in your field. This is not reality TV. This is real life. You don't become an expert overnight. You have to have genuine skill and capability at what you do to be valuable. Now the second criteria is enthusiasm. Why do you need enthusiasm? For 2 reasons. Firstly, no one wants to work with someone who isn't enthusiastic about what they do and who doesn't particularly enjoy working with them. But just as importantly, perhaps more importantly, enthusiasm drives deep expertise. I'm sure you've heard the 10,000 hour rule. It takes about 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to become a true expert in any field. Well, unless you're enthusiastic about a field, unless you love doing what you do, you're not going to put in those hours. You're not going to continue to build and grow your capabilities to world-class levels. So you need that passion, that enthusiasm for your niche. The final factor is the tough one. It's economics. Now, sometimes you'll hear people say, just follow your passion, do what you love, and there'll be a market for it somewhere. Well, as we've just said, passion for what you do is vital, but that doesn't guarantee that the economics are going to work. Some markets are vibrant, they're full of buyers willing to pay a good price for what you have to offer, and unfortunately some aren't. So you need to sanity check the economics of your niche. If you're focusing on a specific sector, check to see that there are enough of those type of people or businesses that you can reach. So if you do face-to-face work, how many businesses or people of that type are there within the geography that you can reasonably reach? And if you think of your average project or engagement size, what percentage of people would have to become clients for you to hit your revenue goals? If it's looking like 30, 40, 50% of the market have to hire you, that's going to be really tough for you to achieve. Your niche might be too narrow, and you might have to think about redefining it. Now, if you're not bound by geography, if you can reach your market and deliver your services remotely by Skype or online, then you can be narrower and still hit a large target market. Now, for the problem side of the equation, you need to check whether this is a big enough issue for enough people that they're going to be willing to hire someone to fix it for them. Now, if something's important for your clients, you can bet that they're talking about it somewhere. So if no one's talking about the issue that you help with on discussion groups or social media, if you check with the Google AdWords keyword tool and nobody's searching for it, the chances are it's not as important as you think. But if it is being searched for a lot, if people are actively discussing it, if there are other people in the market doing similar things, and there's enough potential clients, then the chances are that the economics are going to work. So go through, based on your experience, identify potential niches where you can focus on a group of people or a type of business with a specific problem or opportunity, review them, and check them against the 3 E's, maybe refine them over time. But if you follow that step-by-step approach, it will lead you to a viable niche. Now, you probably won't want to abandon everything else you're doing right now and turn away from clients who aren't in that niche straight away, but you do want to focus your active marketing on that niche to bring in more and more of those type of clients. And that'll build your credibility even further in the niche. So, that's an overview of finding the right niche for you. Hope that helps you, Stephanie, and in particular, and anyone else who's watching who's puzzling over that whole area. And I'll see you in tomorrow's Q&A video with another lead generation topic. Cheers.